All right. Welcome back to a brand new edition, a live edition of Hungry Like the Wolves. Getting the crew back together, the Timberwolves crew, which we have not seen since I'd say about game 3 or 4 of the Western Conference Finals when we all possibly gave up hope, but good to see the off season in its very infancy and a lot going on in the NBA. What I love about the NBA as opposed to some of the other sports, there's really not a lot of downtime. The last couple of seasons, you've seen the teams or a lot of the NBA players in the Olympics, in the World Cup. You got Summer League coming up just next week. Draft last week, free agency this week, plus signing. So we got a lot to unwrap here in regards to the Timberwolves. I'm just going to start out. Obviously, we'll talk about the draft and free agency. I just want to talk about probably the biggest news in the offseason or immediately after the season concluded was just the Kevin Durant rumors to Minnesota, and sounds like they were very involved in the discussions. I've seen people strike down some of the proposals I heard. I know there was one of Rudy, a combination of Rudy, Dante DiVincenzo, TSJ, or Rob Dillingham in a first round pick, which to me would have been a mad overpay. So props to Tim Conley and crew for not getting involved in the KD sweepstakes. I think the majority of this group, if not all of this group, was pretty much against the KD acquisition unless it was a very favorable trade. So, and I will say this due to the fact that he made it adamantly clear that he did not want to come to the Timberwolves. As Ant would say, fuck him. Anyways, so we will go on to the draft and talk about last Thursday's draft where the Timberwolves acquired a couple of 7-footers. First, start out with our pick in the first round there. I believe it was at number 17, part of the trade cat for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and then the pick that we acquired from the Knicks, which I believe was actually the Pistons pick. But Steve, I'm going to let you talk about the first pick out of France, Joan Behringer. Not to be confused with Juan Behringer of the 1987 World Series Twins, Senior Smoke, as we affectionately knew him back in the day. Dating
El
myself here.
Gambino.
Yes, but Steve, go ahead and take it away and tell us about our first round pick.
Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a diamond in the rough. He's a young kid, 18 years old, only been playing for about 4 years. Real raw yet. He's got a lot to learn, but he's got great athleticism. He definitely has a lot of upside potential that we can see so far from the highlight packages that you watch. In some regards, he's a little bit of a Rudy 2.0 because he doesn't have maybe necessarily the footwork and whatnot that you're looking for just yet. His defense is there, but it's kind of hard not to have good defense when you're as big as he is. He's definitely moves well as far as with off the ball with being able to cut and roll. So I like that a lot out of him. Yeah, he's gonna be a bit of a long-term project. So we're gonna have to see how he progresses. I mean, I trust Tim Conley. He's led us this far so far, but yeah, our first round pick, he's going to take a little bit to develop. He's got a lot more to polish up. I honestly think he's further from getting in than the second guy we took, Rocco. I think Rocco's a lot closer, and he's actually got Rocco's got some skills that even Rudy doesn't have as far as his touch goes around the rim. But for first round pick, great athleticism. He's a young guy. I think there's a great high ceiling for him in being able to teach him what he needs. I think he's a good defender, decent lateral movement. But he's definitely going to need to develop his mid-range game, to be able to make an impact. Otherwise, you literally just got a younger, less experienced Rudy out there right now. So be interested to see him hopefully get some run this summer, and we can see him go. But I expect he's going to spend a lot more time down in Iowa than anything else to start with.
Yeah, and talk about the Rudy effect. Obviously, Rudy, having been the legend that he is, Wemby coming up, kind of looking up to him. Their games aren't similar, but just talk about what a influence Rudy will be to young Mr. Behringer.
I think a big thing for, obviously the country affiliation is going to be helpful. Somebody that can relate to him a little bit, but both of them being from France, and similar experiences coming up a little bit there. And just having one of your own countrymen that you can be a little more comfortable around and help you kind of break into the league, especially because language barriers and things like that can be a little bit challenging to start with. But I think Rudy's effect is really going to be on the defensive side. Rudy is a four-time defensive player of the year, and I think that he's going to be able to help out with Jones starting his path into becoming a better defender and being able to do a lot better on the perimeter. And I think that he's going to be able to learn from Rudy some of the different offenses and defenses. Hopefully, he learns better about how to do a little better scoring outside of dunking, than what Rudy does. I hope he seems to have better hands than Rudy, which is good. So he'll hopefully learn some of the things not to do as well. But I think the biggest thing is going to be, comfort, bringing into the league, getting comfortable with the NBA and all that entails. And then I think on the defensive side, I think Rudy's really going to help him out, learning how to be able to play these smaller players when you're being switched off. And we know how other teams attack Rudy in the playoffs, especially. I think he's going to help our young first rounder there learn how to develop into a better perimeter defender.
All right. And we're a little rusty here, or at least I am. I can't speak for the rest of you. So I did realize that actually I flip-flop Razor and Steve here on the draft pick. So hopefully you guys are ready for the curveball I threw you. Razor, talk about Rocco, second round pick. I believe we draft him at 45 or
45,
46.
yeah.
Yeah, because Tim Connolly in his favorite Rick Spielman impersonation decided he wanted to get creative and do a lot of trades on draft night, and got those interesting cash considerations, same as we did with Nikhil tonight. So kind of interesting. But talk a little bit about Rocco. Obviously, out of Australia, another 7-footer, probably a project, much like
Yeah.
Mr. Behringer. But talk a little bit about Rocco.
Well, they also got 2 second-round picks when they moved down from 31 to 36. So other assets they were able to get. But I'm not going to lie and pretend that I'm some draft expert. But I had two goals or two hopes and dreams going into the offseason. One, most importantly, getting another ball handler who could put pressure on the rim and make good decisions. But you're probably not going to get that in the middle of the first round or the second round of a draft. The guy's going to be too young, too much of a project, too raw. But the other goal that I had, or hope and dream, was for the Wolves to draft a young defensive-minded athlete at center to develop behind Rudy Gobert. And the Wolves not only did that, but they did it twice with Bernier or Behringer and Rikarsky as well, who's 7'3" without shoes, apparently. He apparently moves very well. And as Steve touched on, apparently he has a nice touch around the basket. And I don't remember, I'm a little blurry on the details here, but I think there was some sort of a camp or some sort of a tournament and like last year and afterwards he was considered perhaps a first round draft choice, but he was maybe top 10, thank you, be naughty, but highly regarded guy. But his season in Australia didn't go as well as they planned. Some of the stuff I heard from like Tyler Metcalf on No Ceilings was that the the guard play for his team wasn't great. His role wasn't really that well established, so there were reasons for him to struggle, but it clearly hurt his status. It hurt his, where he got drafted. But I mean, for the Wolves to get a guy with that much talent, apparently he's a smart kid, plays hard, has pretty good instincts, again, moves really well, and is just massive. And I think in his press conference, he talked about his focus on defense and how he too wanted to learn from Rudy Gobert. I think, it's worth a shot at 45, and I think they're going to get him on a two-way deal. I don't know if that's for sure yet, but that's the word out on the street. So, I mean, why not see what he can do? And then also, Bernier is also super young, another 18-year-old. You're taking two shots at it. And hopefully one or both of them develop in the next couple of years. Because Rudy, if he's still on the team for the next couple of years, probably has about maybe 2 good years left. So hopefully when that time comes, one of those guys, or hopefully both of them, will be ready to take up some of the slack. But I'm happy to see that they're still keeping an eye on the future with these really, really young guys, two 18-year-olds. and guys that are defensive minded and have a chance someday to contribute.
All right, guys. I know we texted each other on draft night. Real quickly, we'll just kind of go around the horn and give your grade. I'll go last, but Brett, you're on my camera right now anyway, so I'll start out with you.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of harkening back to what the last two gentlemen alluded to, it's really tough to grade because it's just so predicated on what comes in the future. I guess I'll give it a B, maybe a B plus, but God, it could turn into an A plus if one or both of these guys works out. I mean, there's just unreal potential in the Frenchman. I mean, that body is just he's a freak of nature athlete, and then Rocco. I mean, yeah, a lot of potential. So really tough to grade. I'm going to give it a B for now, but man, circle back with me in 2.5 years, and it might turn out to be an A plus draft. We'll see. That's what's fun about it.
Brian.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to agree with Brett. I mean, I believe in TC. I know we all do. I mean, he built that Nuggets team up from scratch. And he took Rudy Gobert. Obviously, he loved Rudy Gobert in that draft, and then obviously he traded it to Utah. And he just seems to have his finger on the pulse on how he wants his teams to play, and it seems like he went with that. I mean, just like Razor said, I mean, he took a shot with two people, two kids, 18 years old. I mean, you'd think one of them would work out, and maybe if both of them work out, it's just he's dictating what he wants on his teams. And I'm going to give it a B plus, and with the possibility of way higher grade.
All right, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, I was like Razor in looking into the draft. I wanted somebody who can handle the ball and take some pressure off Ant, and then I wanted a big who could score. That it would put a little more, spread the floor out a little bit more to make some more room for Ant. So it's not, Rudy gets the ball and four people collapse on him and he can't do anything. So I was glad to see they took two swings. I'm a little more excited about Rocco. Excuse me. Just because his touch around the rim and his footwork is better. I think from what I've been watching from the last 4 seasons that they have online, Rocco's footwork and his touch, left hand and right hand, being able to, hit some Naz Reid-esque, layups, high off the glass and stuff like that has been really good. Shoots the same free throw percentages as Rudy does, but he has made 1 3 in a game. So there is hope. But yeah, I would say, right now, B minus, because they're so raw and they're so new. There's a lot of excitement. But I think that, if Rocco hits and the Frenchman doesn't, how do you grade the draft? Then, is one a superstar and one's not? One turn into, prospect chips in the future for, we throw in and get somebody else down the line. It's hard to say. So I'd be a little bit more on the B side of the grade, and then hopefully one of them hits, and then maybe we can spin the other one out into something else. So B minus, that's where I put it.
Razor.
Perhaps I am just salty at myself for the terrible prediction I made in the Western Conference Finals. I think I said Wolves in 6, something like that. So my confidence is a little bit shaky right now. I'm a little salty still. I'm going to say B minus, not because I'm not intrigued. I am very intrigued by the talent. I'm very happy that they got some young defensive-minded centers who are super athletic. But these guys aren't going to help right now. It's going to take time. And so again, yes, I agree with what everybody said that in a couple years, I mean, we really should wait 3 years until we grade this draft or any draft, but these guys aren't going to help this year. And, we do have hopes that the Wolves will contribute or will contend again this year. So that's why I'm kind of leaning toward not a B plus or an A or anything. But again, I am really thrilled though to see that TC, who I love, I trust, he's still like he has his eye on today, but he's also looking at 5 years from now, 3 years from now. And I just love that balance that he's trying to strike. So maybe a B minus is kind of hard on him, but maybe an incomplete maybe is a better grade. But let's see what happens in 3 years. But I'm excited about them. And I like that they have like this infrastructure with Rudy as like to show them the way and all the other developmental staff for these young guys. And then, I mean, even, hey, Joe Ingles signed a fellow Australian guy, so maybe he'll be able to show Rikarsky the ropes. So we'll see. But B minus, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a B minus as well. I know draft night I wasn't too excited. Granted, at the time I wasn't too sure if Randall and or Nas would still be around. Obviously, I think draft night you're looking at, the point guard position, which is still somewhat of a question mark, but we'll wait and see what happens. But interesting draft nonetheless. Let's talk about some of the free agency happenings here. Crazy night in the NBA. Obviously, we have had our eyes glued to it. We had three key free agents heading into the offseason, or the Timberwolves did. Let's start out with the first contract that came out the other day. That would be Mr. Nas Reed, Big Jelly, as we affectionately know him as. He had I believe, around a $15 million player option that he ended up getting out of in lieu of his new contract. 5 years, $125 million. A pretty nice contract. I think he would have fetched something similar in the open market, but I believe we had his bird right. So maybe not as much, but I think it's a fair contract for what we see out of Nas. Brett, we'll go to you on this one. Talk about Nas's contract and us re-signing him.
Yeah, I mean, as you guys know, I am a shameless disciple of the good word of Nas Reed. So bit of a biased take here, but I'm very pro the Nas Reed extension, as you can imagine. But I'm completely empathize if anybody looks at that and has the sticker shock. When it comes out, the Shams graphic, and it's that big 125 million, and it's got the dollar signs falling all around him in the picture, and it's like, damn, that's a lot of money for a guy off the bench. But then you really look at the particulars, and it's 25 annually. That's about what he, as you mentioned, Mike, that's what he would have gotten on the open market. So 5 years, 25 million. And I think that it solidifies the Anthony Edwards timeline with you paying 50 combined for Jaden and Nas. And it really would have been a shame to do all this legwork, taking this guy undrafted through the summer league program, through the Iowa G League, running him off the bench, developing him, and then watching somebody else pay 25 million for those services annually. So, while you don't want to fall in love with everybody on the roster, it really would have been a shame to see Nas go. Thrilled with the fact that he'll be around for another 5 years. The area that I was concerned with, though, wasn't necessarily going to be the money, because I knew 25 mil, that's about market for what Nas Reed services would be. I think that like Brooklyn could have probably offered something similar. Even Boston had their eye on him. But the opportunity to start, clearly there was a conversation with Nas that Julius is going to be back around to, or Julius is part of the plan, and that didn't thwart Nas Reed from seeking greener pastures, because I think he might have been able to start on Boston this year with Tatum out and Porzingis gone, and I think, like we mentioned, Cornette out the door, so there might have been starter minutes for him in Beantown for similar money. So says a lot about his relationship with this team, the fan base, and the vision moving forward. So, man, thrilled with it. Like I said, I understand if you have sticker shock seeing 9 figures go to a 6-man off the bench, but I think ultimately that contract's going to age really well. I think we'll be looking, 2-3 years down the line that we're paying 25-ish for both Nas and Jaden a piece. That's pretty good. And it's tradable too, if necessary, down the road. It's not a hard contract to move for a player like Nas Reed for 25 mil. So
I think I read somewhere the first year is somewhere in the 21 and change range. So for this half year hit, so not going to be too bad of a hit. And then was it yesterday? Confused. I think it was yesterday. We all got the notification that Jules, Sticky Fingers, as Mr. Steve affectionately refers to him as, re-sign for, I know he had the player option. I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of 30 million. They just gave him a new contract, 3 years at 100 million. So kind of not surprised at it. And as rough of a start to the season he had prior to injury, Jules obviously came on at the end of the year, played very well in the playoffs. I mean, he had his struggles in the Western Conference Finals, but I mean, he was very consistent the first 2 rounds. So I think as a whole, this group's probably happy to see him back. Brian, talk a little bit about Mr. Sticky Fingers and his extension.
Oh, Jules. I owe you an apology. I mean, we rode him in those first 2 series. I mean, we had to do apologies weekly over this guy. It seems like a business decision on both sides. I mean, Jules had a $31 million option. He could have taken it, or he could have gone to the free agent market. I'm pretty sure that TC and Finch, because we know my coach, Mr. Steve Finch, they're boys. They're like this. I'm pretty sure that it was approached to him here. Let's just, we'll give you a 3-year deal at $31 million. And the agent squeezed out a little $7-8 million out of that. It just seemed like a win-win for both. I mean, it was basically the Wolves saying, hey, if you want to decline this and you want to go find greener pastures, it seems like a match made in heaven. And I apologize, Jules. But what that did, that allowed us to win that trade with New York. I mean, they got Cat. We got 4 years Devo at 11. We get Jules at 33 a year. We get the Juan Berenguer, El Gasolino, and we got the ability to sign Naz Reid. If anybody ever asks me, who do you think won that trade? I think it worked out as best for both parties. And hey, let's go. I'm excited.
All right. And unfortunately, like I said at the beginning, or when we started talking about free agency, there were 3 big names. There were more names, and we'll talk about them too, but there were the 3 big names, obviously, Nas, Jules, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. And as the weekend came to an end, you could kind of see the writing on the wall that Nikhil was going to be the odd man out. Personally, I was okay with that. To me, I think Randall and Nas were higher priorities, but for those of you that may have not seen it, I think this just happened in the last hour and a half, but Nikhil Alexander-Walker did sign with the Atlanta Hawks 4 years for $62 million, I believe. So pretty good bag for him. Somebody that was a throw-in in the trade for along with Mike Conley and a draft pick for D'Lo 2.5 years ago, and revitalized his career because he was riding the pine on a very bad Utah team. And now he'll probably be starting alongside Trae Young out in Atlanta, a decent team that has some potential. But Steve, talk about Nikhil and his value to Minnesota, his new contract, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Nah is one of these guys. I think one of our favorite. We in Minnesota love stories like Nah. Where the underdog kid. He's kind of laboring and languishing, overlooked, and we bring him here. We get him trained up, built up. The kid worked really hard to get the minutes that he did. He was willing to do whatever the coaches asked him to do. And sometimes I had to dial him back a little bit, like at the beginning of this season, like, hey, whoa, you don't have to be the big time point guard here. Just take it easy. So the kid played his heart out for us. And I think that he'll always have a soft spot here in the hearts of Minnesota fans because the kid was willing to do whatever they're the iconic picture of him and Jaden locking down Murray for against the Nuggets last year, with the 2 of them just putting clamps right on Murray for the Nuggets last year. I mean, we're going to miss his defense because he did do a good job defensively for the most part. I know the one game we were at in attendance against the Warriors, we were not real excited about some of the stuff that he did. And I think that's part of it, is that he still wasn't able to get to that level of consistency that I think that would have kept him here, both offensively and defensively. He could have games where he could throw up 20 some points and hit clutch threes and do some really good things. And then you have other games where you couldn't find him with a searchlight. And I think that ultimately led to him being the one that was expendable on this team. As painful as that is to say. And like you said, he gets to go to the Hawks, play along Trae Young. And I think he's going to get better minutes there, and he's going to get an opportunity to grow with a heavier workload. And so I think it's good for him. I think for us, it's good. We've got a 2nd round pick and some cash, but we also, with the trade exception and then his money, we ended up freeing up $14 million in salary cap as well. So that does give us more wiggle room should the old Magic Man, Mr. TC, decided to pull something else out of his hat the rest of the summer, which he might need to because now we're kind of light on ball. Who's going to handle the ball moving up the court? We've got Dante, you've got Conley, you've got Mr. Dillingham there, who's still learning. Mr. Bones Highland, apparently he's a thing that's on our team, as far as guys who can dribble and bring the ball up the court. You really don't want to see Point Ant that much. You'd rather see him, playing off the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how we're going to fill those minutes that Nah had. But yeah, I think it was a good deal for Nah. He's getting out and going to go play someplace. Got a good contract. We ended up with cap space that we needed. And, so I think one of these things that we can't be too sad about. Nah did everything he could for us, and I think we're all happy for him to be able to move on. But yeah, the writing was on the wall with Jules and Nas getting signed that he was going to have to go. So the only thing I'm concerned about is you got Conley and Dilly and DiVincenzo. Who's the point guard? Who's number one? Is that going to be Dante's spot for now until we get somebody else? Is this a forebearer that TC's got something else cooking that he's going to swing at? Another guard who can handle the ball. I guess we'll wait to see.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously some concerns there. I think Conley, you saw the series long in the tooth, and both he and Dillingham are a bit of a defensive liability, especially with the size of some of the point guards these days. So I think the point guard position, the uncertainty is probably the big question mark all of us have going into this upcoming season. Saw a couple of other slightly less less notable departures. We'll talk about the man from Iowa, the legend, the walking bucket, Luka Garza, who I believe was here for 3 years, I think, and definitely a fan favorite. I was fortunate enough to meet Luka, my son Mitchell and I, about a year and a half ago. Just fun to watch. I mean, he played with energy. He had key minutes on occasion, but for the most part, he'd come off the bench and he'd come score 12 points in like the 3 minutes he'd get at the end of these blowout games. So Brian, talk a little bit about Luka and the legacy he left here in Minnesota.
Hey, I got to tell you, I mean, and you guys all know, that guy was one of the best college centers, like let's say top 40 college centers of all time, maybe even higher. I mean, he was a legend at Iowa. I loved having him down there. I mean, sell out some seats. But when I heard that Minot and his 2.7 was going to be declined, I knew Minot was out of here. I mean, I knew he was ready to go get some playing time. But I did have kind of a like a fleeting thought that maybe Garza, we could sign him at more friendly deal, 2-way. Stop it. Seriously? Get out of here.
Let the dogs out.
Yeah, who let the dogs out? Matt Garza did. But I was thinking that it might have been possible because what I was saying earlier about TC, he loves that Rudy thing. He loves that defensive anchor. Like one of those two 18-year-olds could be up, one could be down, be nurtured by Matt Garza, Luka. But hey, 2 years, $5.5 million, guaranteed roster spots on the Celtics where they're just jettisoning everybody trying to start over again. I'm more than happy to see that happen. He's a good guy, just like you said, Michael. A fan favorite. Everybody loves Luka. So while I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get to have our way with him on a 2-way, I wish the kid the best because he deserves it.
All right. We did bring up Josh Minot as well. Razor, I know you were very high on him. I know at the beginning of last season, he was getting decent minutes. I think he was like the 8th or the 9th man off the bench. I think the 9th, and Finchy went with a little bigger rotation to start the season out. But talk about Josh's time here. I don't believe he has signed with anybody yet, but I would be shocked to not see him on somebody's roster next season.
Yeah, you touched on it. When the Wolves drafted him in 2022, he was the 45th pick overall. He played 1 year at Memphis, didn't play a ton. I think he only averaged about 14 minutes a game down there. But I was super excited because, I mean, he's athletic, he's long, he's active, plays hard. So I was really intrigued and thought, hey, maybe this guy could someday help the Timberwolves. And the opportunity just really wasn't there over the years. He played 3 years here. First year, rookie year, he only played 15 games, 6 minutes a game. Second year, 32 games, 2.8 minutes per game then. And then this past season, Mike, you touched on it. He had an opportunity to be that ninth guy, which unfortunately on the Wolves means you play about 5 to 6 minutes. And that's what he averaged was 6 minutes a game. But it looked like it was something that maybe he could grow into, but unfortunately, I think he had some less than stellar moments, fell asleep a few times on defense. And I think there was even an issue where he might have been sending some tweets during a game or something like that that didn't really, maybe it rubbed some of the front office the wrong way. And perhaps a buddy of his was posting that stuff for him. I don't know, but he just kind of fell out of favor, and it kind of made me sad to see. But as raw as he came into the league and as little the amount of playing time he got over the years, I mean, the guy just needs reps. The guy needs minutes. And I really hope he can go to a team, perhaps a bad one, in which he can get some regular minutes and can really go in there and make mistakes. As much as I love me some Finchy, he does not tolerate mistakes from young players. And he just doesn't have the patience for it. And I think, he'll take some mistakes that are the mistakes of like just playing hard mistakes, but like if you're falling asleep on defense, you're going to be out of there. And unfortunately, Minot had that happen a few times. So I really wish him well. Heard he's a good kid. I actually got to meet him in a parking lot once outside a boxing gym. Seemed like a nice enough dude. But again, I wish him well, and I think he's super talented, and maybe he's one of those guys that was never going to, really produce for the first team that he was on. It was on his second deal and his second team that he's going to maybe find his way. So I wish him well. I know he had a kid last year, so I again wish Josh Minot well. A little sad to see him go, but I think it's the right thing for him and it's the right thing for the team to see him go. So, but I'm interested to see where he lands.
Yeah, I did see Johnny Athletic today say that I think the Minot was very candid with the front office that he definitely wanted more playing time. So I think they left amicably, or parted ways amicably. I do know that obviously with Nikhil and Luca and Minot leaving, that opens up minutes for other players. I did listen to, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, Finchy was on the PA show for about an hour and did kind of talk about possibly using more bench players next year. I think we've seen Finch evolve in some of the things we've criticized him about over the years, the timeouts, some of the challenges. I think he's improved on that over the years. I think obviously he's paid well. He's a very well regarded coach in the NBA, but I think all of us would like to see him uh, add some minutes to some of these players. But we'll see if that changes next year. So we are 10 days away. Actually, I think we're 5 days away from the actual start of the summer league. I know there's three different factions of it. The Wolves will be in Vegas once again, and their summer league starts July 10th. I did see most of these players, the young players, the Dillies, the TSJs, possibly even I think Jalen Clark, but the rookies, they all should be seeing summer league action this summer. I believe the first game is 2:30 Thursday, July 10th. It's on ESPN2. The other three games will be on NBA TV, and I believe all of the teams are guaranteed a fifth game, depending upon where they fall in there. But Brett, talk a little bit about the summer league. I know myself, just with the success of the last couple of years, I have been paying attention to the summer league, so I plan to watch all those games, being a diehard that I am. So, what are you looking forward to with the Wolves in their summer league?
Yeah, just funny because there's kind of an ecosystem that the Wolves have leaned into with the summer league. Obviously, Naz Reid and tried to run up Luka Garza and Josh Minot, and they've run their course, and now we're going to try a couple new guys. So there's a lot of storylines going into it. I mean, I think the biggest one is obviously with tonight's departure of Na. If the roster stands pat, which is entirely possible, you're probably going to have to shift to more of a 9-man roster, or I'm sorry, a 9-man rotation with TSJ and Dillingham one way or another. Because there's not really an immediate replacement for Na on the roster. Maybe you could argue that that's TSJ, but regardless, Rob's going to have to get minutes if this roster continues to look the way it does. So Massive tune-up opportunity for those guys. I think we'll all be watching them closely to see how they're looking. Has Rob beefed up a little bit? TSJ, I mean, the guy was putting up 20 in the Western Conference Finals, so I can't imagine he might be one of those guys that gets out there for the first couple shifts, and then you might not see him for the second half of the summer league. But then obviously you got the two bigs. Let's see what those guys can do. They'll get their first real run of American professional basketball, so we'll see how they look, see if there's some potential there. Another guy that you really are going to have to keep an eye on with the departure of Minot, with the departure of Na, and just the way that things are shaking out is Leonard Miller. Leonard Miller might get some minutes on the 600 First Avenue North floor this year that are not garbage minutes. So we might need to lean on Leonard Miller a little bit just for some size, if nothing else. So a lot of storylines to watch. I'm with you, Mike. 10 years ago, I wasn't a guy that's really sitting around watching the summer league because why would you? But man, the way that this organization's evolved, the summer league is something to keep an eye on, and especially this year, there's just so many storylines. So I'm excited, man. And it's kind of it sucks losing the Western Conference Finals, but it's just not even, I'm not going to say the word consolation prize, but it's gets kind of a palate cleanser to get in there and watch some young Timberwolves get in there and show us what they got and get excited for the future. So I'm excited for summer league. Can't wait. I'll be tuned in with you.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is summer league's going to end, actually somewhat late July. There's only going to be a 2-month gap between the end of summer league and the start of training camp. So do like that the association has such a small off season. We went kind of quick. Maybe I'll throw some questions out to each one of you, just in general about the Wolves or even the NBA. Razor, I'll start with you. Who's made the biggest splash via draft, free agency, etc.?
Oh man, put me on the spot here.
I seen Houston signing like everybody today.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Houston is making all kinds of moves.
Yeah, it's got to be Houston. I mean, getting KD, signing Capella, which is kind of puzzling to me because they already have Sengun, and I think they just signed Steven Adams to an extension. They also got Dorian Finney-Smith. I think they got Fred VanVleet on an extension as well, and then they Jabari Smith. So they seem to be kind of going all in, and they were the number 2 seed last year. So it'll be very interesting. And I think they were relying on Jalen Green, who is incredibly inconsistent, to be their main perimeter scorer. So going to Durant to be kind of your main perimeter scorer is a huge upgrade, but he is 37 years old and he doesn't stay on the court for that long. And unfortunately, whether it's his fault or not, drama seems to follow him now wherever he goes. So I'm not certain that that's going to work for them. But I guess another team I want to mention, honorable mention, would be the Atlanta Hawks. They seem to be making some interesting moves, taking our guy Naw off our hands, unfortunately, but so happy to see him getting 62 million. I think I heard that it got Kennard as well. I mean, not a great player, but a nice depth piece. They got Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm probably missing somebody, but they seem to be making some interesting moves over in Atlanta as well. And I think who was it that fleeced New Orleans? Because New Orleans has had a strange offseason, but I won't go down that path. But again, Houston and Atlanta, honorable mention.
Yeah. What'd you think of Denver's moves tonight? I saw that they traded for Cam Johnson, got rid of MPJ, which, let's be honest, he's been ass the last couple of seasons in the playoffs. And then they also got Bruce EB back.
MPJ, what a talent. But it seems like he's kind of plateaued over the last couple seasons, and maybe it's due to injury, but he makes a lot of money. And Cam Johnson, I think that trade is going to save them a lot of money and perhaps to make other moves. And maybe that was some of the money they used to bring back Bruce Brown. But it's a great, I mean, the Bruce Brown move is a big thing for the depth for Denver because that's really been their Achilles heel for the past 2 seasons is their lack of depth partially because he left. So I don't know. I mean, is Cam Johnson a better player than MPJ? I don't think so, but he's cheaper, and I think he's kind of injury prone too. So I don't know if this. I always look at it through the Wolves lens. I don't know if this makes them more dangerous, but Bruce Brown definitely helps the he's an upgrade over Russell Westbrook. So that's a good move for them, but not sure about the Cam Johnson replacing MPJ.
All right, Mr. Steve. I noticed that all these centers are getting snapped up. I believe Brooke Lopez went to where did he go, to the Clippers?
Clippers.
Yeah,
Clippers,
so
yeah.
that just happened tonight. And I'm on Twitter/X frequently. I see the Lakers fans starting to sweat between LeBron picking up his $53 million option.
Ooh.
Talks of not sure if the roster is ready to compete, and even rumblings about him maybe retiring after this year. But the big thing, what I see with the Lakers fans are, Reeves declined that I believe was like a 4-year, 90-some million option. But the Lakers fans are desperate for a center, and all the marquee free agent centers are being snapped up quickly. I know Aiden got bought out by Portland, but I don't know if he is within their price range. What are the Lakers going to do about that big void they have at center, which, of course, we loved because we were able to watch the Timberwolves exploited in round 1 of the playoffs this year?
Yeah, the Lakers, I mean, as much as other teams have made moves, Dallas obviously, with the trade to the Lakers and then, getting Cooper Flag and some of the other moves that they've made, there's a lot of teams in the West who are doing things to get better. I mean, Denver may have gotten better by subtraction by getting, not keeping Westbrook. There's other things that are going on. Houston, obviously OKC won the finals. The West is just as dangerous as ever and getting tougher when you look at how some of these things are moving. Yeah, the Lakers right now, I think LeBron is doing maybe a disservice by picking up 50 mil. I think maybe he should renegotiate so they can get some more players in. Because right now it's just really him and Hookah Luka there. They're going to be trying to lock it down, and I don't know how they get any better or get any more movement up into the Western Conference standings with where they're at. So they're going to have to take a swing at a center. They're going to need some big men. Is this something that our guy TC plays with? We just picked up those 2 kid centers. We got Rudy, we got Edwards, so we've got 4 big men. Is this something that we maybe package something together, move some pieces around? I don't know. But the Lakers right now, they're hurting, and their fan base is going to quickly turn, I think, on for as much as they love LeBron, they're going to hate LeBron because, again, he ends up playing GM, and they can't compete in the Western Conference not long, not for play. They maybe, at this point with the roster that they have, they're going to be fighting for play-in because they just do not have the depth. They do not have the size, and small ball, as we've seen, small ball is only going to get you so far. The reason why everybody snapped up these centers is because you can see that in the West, you've got to have depth and you've got to have height. You got to have that length. One of the things that helped us, like you talked about, having Nas and Jules and Jaden being able to help out, and Rudy, we had enough overall team height to really make it difficult for both Golden State and the Lakers, and that made a difference. So yeah, the Lakers are in rough shape, and a lot of these guys, like you said, they are getting snapped up. So I don't know. Maybe it's a spot where it ends up being a 2 or 3 team deal for them to get somebody, but they're not looking good right now. That's for sure.
No doubt. It's funny, one of you guys mentioned Dallas. I noticed they picked up D'Lo, I believe 2 years for $13 million tonight as well. But Dallas, obviously, Nico blasted rightfully so for that trade, but they lucked out, got Cooper Flag with the number 1 pick. I believe it was like, what, a 2% chance to win the lottery. But obviously they got some guys long in the tooth. AD, Klay Thompson. Looks like they made quite a few moves here too in the offseason. Brett, what do you think about Dallas? I mean, just last year they were in the Western Conference, or they went to the NBA Finals, gave us fits in there, and then obviously the huge trade with Luka. But they look on. I know Kyrie's going to be a little slow to come back, but what do you think Dallas is capable of doing this upcoming season? Because it looks like they got a lot of talent, they got a lot of depth, but can AD stay healthy? Kyrie's coming back from injury.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really just what it hinges on, is how healthy can these guys stay. Once the dust settles on the Luka trade, you do have to remember, like, Anthony Davis is a really good player, and Kyrie Irving is also a really good player, but both on the wrong side of 30 now, both with a history of injuries. I don't mind D'Lo at that price point for them, just kind of with the history with AD stepping in and taking some of those Kyrie minutes early on in the season. I don't know much how was like the pick and pop game between AD and Kyrie. I'm not terribly well studied up on that, but there's worse guys that you could get to plug in for a low price point for a couple months while Kyrie is on the mend. And who knows what we have with Cooper Flag. I mean, ultimately the kid was playing big boy ball with Team USA in 2024 last year. So there's definitely something there, right? It might not just be all hype with him. So I don't know. Really just comes down to if we can get a healthy AD. They do have a ton of talent. I think that if in theory everybody on that roster was healthy and they get a chance to click, that's the other thing too. By the time everybody's healthy, we might be too far into the season for those guys to click. So that might be their downfall. But in theory, if everybody on that roster was healthy going into the year, had time to gel in training camp, man, that could be a top 5 team in the West. But it doesn't look like things are stacking up favorably for them heading into the year health wise with Kyrie being out and not being able to develop that chemistry with AD. But I don't know. We'll see. They really lucked out though with Cooper. So could be a 4 or 5 seed. Could be playing. Could be worse.
No doubt. All right, B Naughty, we'll close out with you. Just came off of what I thought was an excellent NBA Finals. Sucks seeing Hallie go down with the Achilles in a game that they were winning at the time. Would they have won? Who knows? But at least the first half of Game 7 was pretty entertaining until OKC started running away with it. Obviously, OKC is very well put together for the immediate future. Tons of draft capital, good young players in their prime. I believe SGA is 26, maybe going on 27. So, I mean, he's probably entering his prime. What is it going to take, whether it's any of the teams in the Western Conference, including the Wolves, or anybody in the Eastern Conference, to knock off OKC? Because they look like they are built for the long haul, that they're going to be a threat for at least the next few years, barring injury or some other kind of odd doings. So what's it going to take for any of the other 29 teams to dethrone OKC?
Well, first off, Michael, first time since the season ended, it's on. And I heard you, Mr. Brett, say that Dallas is so lucky to get Cooper Flag. Are you kidding me? This whole thing is rigged. But I'll move on to okay shitty here. I mean, have you guys ever enjoyed watching any game that they play?
Absolutely not.
Like, have you enjoyed? I mean, you're watching Alex Caruso literally assassinate people on every play on defense and no call. They fall every time on defense. And that, I'm going to choose my words carefully, the MVP. Yeah, I think it's like a nuisance, like a virus that needs to be eradicated. Just watching that. I mean, of course I love my Timberwolves, and maybe that's why I got the red ass more than I usually would about a team. But I mean, if that continues, I mean, there's got to be some NBA rules. There's got to be some officiating curtailing here. I just think it'll police itself. I mean, this can't go on because it was awful. Razor, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, the name that keeps popping into my head is Lou Dort.
Yes.
Credit to him. I love players like that come out of nowhere,
But
undrafted, build themselves up. But watching how physical he is when he gets screened, he is like punching guys, shoving guys, grabbing guys, holding guys, and then he's always grabbing the guy he's guarding, shoving the guy. But the minute he gets caught in a screen, he's gonna flail and go down for the count. So not a fan. And then I think even in that game 7, there was a play where he just got like bumped and just went flying, and the refs rewarded it. And it's just sad to watch the refs continue to reward them on both ends of the court because they don't call that team by itself consistently. So
right. I mean, I'll tell you that team is not past the Packers or the Blackhawks for me, but that team is my most hated team, and something's got to stop because the viewership's going to go down. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Mr. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, the flopping's terrible, and you know, like I commented during the season, I think that we found Harrison Smith's replacement for B-Flow's defense on the Vikings, and it's Dante DiVincenzo, because apparently, if he's not looking at you and your name is LeBron James or Lou Dort, and you run into the back of Dante DiVincenzo, it will lay you out. Because we saw that both with LeBron and Lou Dort ran into the back of Dante DiVincenzo when he's not even looking at him, and they flop like somebody, you know, hit him with a brick. The flopping stuff's got to go, and it drives me absolutely nuts. It's one of the things I like about the WNBA is because those ladies don't flop; they beat the living snot out of each other. Sorry,
I'm
hey,
giving you a
it's I would
platform.
rather see a more physical brand, a more '90s style game than these guys that are like, oh God, ugh. And everybody tells me that LeBron James is this big, massive, 6'8", 6'9", he could be a tight end, but yet Dante DiVincenzo at 6'1" can lay him out without even looking at him. I agree with you there. That flopping has got to go. It's going to kill the viewership.
And it's a business decision. I mean, the NBA is looking at this. I mean, and they're trying to be a worldwide league. I mean, and then you watch that finals, you watch that playoffs. I mean, the ratings are going to go down. Something's got to happen, Michael.
All right. We knew we had to break out the tinfoil hat sooner or later.
Oh, wait, I'll take it off.
Took long enough, but no, it's good to get together again with you guys, talking some sports. Obviously, we'll have the Vikings coming up here a little more than a month, but I would say for this group, obviously 10 days, as we talked about, the summer league starts for the Wolves. Maybe once it concludes, we'll get back and kind of do a assessment of what we saw from the young players and the rookies. Anything to get together and talk sports, because we were long overdue. It's been a quiet month of June. Unfortunately, had the Twins been playing a little better, we might have picked up the Pine Tards, but perhaps we'll do that again here soon. But
I'm down.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it might just be one big bitch session, and nobody wants to watch that. So
it's a train wreck. People can't look away.
No doubt. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate everybody getting together on short notice, and we will be back together soon. Thanks for watching. Be sure to